Hello and welcome back. I hope everybody had a great lunch. So for the third card of our virtual open house, we will be working on our Bee Edger card. This is the card sample here. In your kit, you should have a pre-cut edger, a sheet of sticky specs, a 4 by 5.5 inch for your background, and your card base here, as well as a sticker sentiment strip. Okay, so how we prepared this for you guys today is we had a card base and used our multi-frames oval dies just to cut out the oval for the edger to pop through. So we just ran that through our cutting machine. So what we're going to do first now for our card is the background. So I'm going to bring in my blending mat here. And what I like to do with my blending mat, if you can see that there, is I like to put a little piece of tape on there because it is see-through and it gets lost and then I can't find it. So the technique we do for today for the background, we'll be using some dye ink. So any dye ink or any ink that reacts with water. So if you have Distress Oxide inks, they will also work for this technique. So I chose two different colors, but you can choose one. That's fine. You can even do like yellows and oranges to make like a horizon background, a sunset. So all you're going to do is tap the ink pad onto your surface. You're going to spritz it with water. And then you're going to take your piece of paper and then just randomly tap down. And when you flip it over, you will have this gorgeous pattern on your paper. So that's going to be our background. So you can go ahead and add more or less, whatever you prefer. So then I'm going to heat set this so that it dries, so that I can go ahead and add another color in there. It'll only take a few seconds to dry because we're not adding too much water, but we do want that to be dry. So if you're using different colors, you don't want to blend them together, otherwise you might get a muddy look. So I'm going to clean my surface off, and then I'll come in with the second color and do the same technique, just putting it down on my work surface, adding water, and then I'll just take my paper to the work surface and tap on the white spots. I'm just trying to fill in the background so that it looks like a cloudy day for this bumblebee to be flying around. So you're just going to continue to pick up color here and there, and then you can heat set that again and just dry it off, or if you have time, just to let that dry. I'm going to clean my surface here, heat my background, and then we can continue with coloring our edger dye. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside now to dry while we finish off the rest of our card. So I'm going to move my blending mat aside and I will bring in my edger piece. Now I have my Tombow markers on hand. You can use whatever medium you have, watercolor, chalks, anything that you have that you want to color in this edger dye with. I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper here to catch any of that extra ink that spills over. So I'm going to show you, I want to show you first that my edger die is ripped here, and I did that intentionally today because I wanted to show you that once we have the card assembled, that you won't be able to tell that that is ripped. And so if you're cutting this die out at home and this happens to you, you don't have to throw it away. You can always still use the edger die as it's meant to be used. So with our edger dies, there are components that stick up as well. So you can always give your card that little bit of extra dimension. See inside the bee's leaves, bee's wings, that is going to stick up, as well as this bee wing over here. So what we're going to do is color our images in first, and then I will show you how to adhere that without sticking everything down. So I just want to show you a really quick and easy way to color your dies. So I'm going to start off with the lightest color of green, and then I'm just going to add a bunch of color into the background without coloring on top of the flowers, because I will be adding color there. That it is easier to color your image while it's still in the die instead of cutting it out. But I will show you how to take that apart once we're finished coloring. So I'm going in and coloring all the elements that I feel will be green. And sometimes you will miss things and have to go back at the end, no big deal. So then I'm just going to color this in roughly. If you see on the sample here what part of the die you actually will see. So I chose to do the card this way just because I wanted to show you a different way to use your edgers. Traditionally, people are taking their edgers and then just layering them on top of some beautiful backgrounds that they have created. But for this card, I just wanted to do something just a little bit different and use the edger behind an open oval just to add a little bit more interest. So I'm going to go ahead and just color that all in. As well, you won't see this bee over here, so that's fine. So the second step is to adding the little bit of darker color. So now you're just going to go in and in a flicking motion add some darker color to the vines and stuff that will be behind the bee. Oh, and see, I did miss that spot there, so I will go back in with my lighter green and color that in. So while you're coloring in, what I like to do is start with my lightest colors and then move into my darkest colors. So I will be doing the black last. And I'm just adding this green here to add some extra dimension to the background, not necessarily being precise on where shadows would fall. I just wanted to add some extra color. And then I will add a little bit here and then blend that in with my other marker. So I'm just going in with that light color again and blending that dark out. Okay, so now we're going to move on to doing our flowers. So I chose to do pink and orange, so I will just color the bottom of my flower pink. So the inside of the petals will be pink. This entire flower will be pink, as well as this one here. And then I will take the orange to just color the tips, and then that will blend the orange and the pink. Oh, and I missed a petal here, so I'll go back and color that in. Okay, and then the last thing that I will do is color in my bee in black. Throw my glasses on here so I don't color anything that shouldn't be. I'm going to show you a little trick on how to get the yellow behind the bee so that you can see that yellow body. So we're just going to first color this all in black, as well as the legs. Once you have your legs colored in, then you will see where you forgot to color. So right there, I forgot to color in the green. So I will go back and do that. I'm going to leave the wings white. So just going to color in all the parts of that bee that will be black and leave the wings white. And we'll do that with same with the small little bees in the image. So now if you do own the die, you can always cut the die out a second time and layer the black on top and layer the flowers if you like. If you see in my sample here, I actually inlaid the flower on the edge here. So if you own the die, you can keep those little components and then use them. I also you can always add extra little bees if you have the die. Okay, so we have that all colored in, and I'm just going to go back with that green and color in the spots that I missed. I like to do the black last just because if you go in with the lighter colors then or any other color, then it might smudge. So I like to do the black last so that I'm not doing any smudging. Okay, so there we have a very simple coloring of the background, and I'm just going to take my scrap piece of paper away and bring in a piece of scrap to show you how I did the background to the bee. So I'm just going to place that scrap behind. I'm going to take my pencil and very carefully just trace around the bee. Now on my scrap piece of paper, I have this oval, and I'm just going to cut inside the lines that I drew. Now to make this part easier, I'm just going to color in the white oval that I just cut and then adhere that to the back of my bead. So I'm just going to flip that over and just do a little spot of sticky specks, which I'll explain a little bit here in a second when we adhere this edger to the back of the card, to the card base. And then I'll just place the yellow part in there, and there you have the bee backing. Now I'm just going to remove my scrap paper here, and you can also do that for the little bees in your image as well. And if there's any little spots that you've missed, you can always go back and color them in before you adhere your edger to your inside panel. Okay, so now we are going to adhere our edger die to our panel that we created. And I had to redo this part of the video because I missed out a very important step. So this time I won't forget. So you're going to take your scissors and just continue the cut that the edger die has made. And then you can take off the one negative side there that you won't be using. So I'm just going to follow that up there as well, and then there you have your edger die cut out. So easier to color when it's all together, but then remember to take the negative part out before you adhere it, like I did not on my first one, and then I had to rip it off. So mistakes happen often in the crafting world, but happy mistakes. Anyhow, moving on, we're just going to assemble the card now. So this is the sticky specs. They come in 2 different sizes, and what this is micro adhesive dots. So when you peel this paper back, you have a whole bunch of tiny little micro dots, and they are going to stick to anything that you put on there and adhere that down to your project. So I'm just going to peel that back. I'm going to place my edger die cut on there. And I'm going to make sure not to tap down the wing because I don't want that to pick up any adhesive. I want that to stick up from my card base. And I'm just going to tap that down a little bit here and there, pick up that adhesive in the background. If you want, you can close this little panel, but be careful not to get that wing. And then when I have enough adhesive on there, then I can just go ahead and carefully peel that away and bring in my background paper, and then I will just lay the edger there. And now you can go ahead and tap everything down again. And earlier the die cut was cut and it is on this one as well. So I'm just going to tap that all down, and with the sticky specs, you can't tell that that was cut at all. So the recipient will never see that. And then you have that one wing here that's sticking up, and everything else is nice and adhered to your card. Okay, so then to assemble this onto your card base with the oval already cut, it's just simply you're going to line that up to where you want that in your card. So I'm going to trim mine off at the top and the bottom. I'm just going to use my scissors and flip that around to trim that off, and this side as well. And then I can tuck that in there and see that I have missed this part in coloring, so that's very easily fixed. Just before you adhere that, you want to check to make sure that you have colored all your elements. So I'm just going to go in here with that green marker again and do a little bit of touch up. And then if you do have the die and you can always inlay that second flower there. And then we have that. Okay, so now we're ready to adhere this. So I'm just going to take my tape and put tape around the edge of the card here, and then we can tape that on to the inside of our card base. So you just want to make sure that you go right along the edge so that you can't see any of that tape once we have that adhered inside. So right along the edge, all the way around. Then we'll use our pokey tool to help us take the release paper off. And because this piece of paper is cut to fit exactly into the card, you can just flip this right over and then go ahead and center that in the back. And then when you close your card, you have your bee edger right inside your oval. Okay, so now to attach a sentiment, in your kit you might have received this happy birthday or a happy birthday in the silver or gold. There was also other options available, so or you can even stamp your own stamp or add your own sticker that you may have at home. So I'm just going to show you a really quick way to use this. So you're just going to peel off the background. Sometimes easier said than done. So we're just going to peel off the entire background, and that will reveal our sentiments. Now I like to use my pokey tool to take out all the negative spots, which is simple. You just poke on them and move them to the right or left, and they all come out. It's really simple, just like that. And then I will use this sheet of paper. It's called Styrofoam Transfer Sheets, and this is going to help me transfer my stickers onto my project here. So I'm just going to cut a strip, and these are reusable until they lose their stick. So what I like to do is either stick the extra strip on the back when I'm done, or on the backing of this. So what you do is you peel your transfer sheet, and it's just a piece of clear stick, and then I'm going to lay that onto my happy birthday. Use a little bit of pressure there to pick up the sticker, and then when you peel this back, it will pick up your happy birthday sentiment. Sometimes you need to help it along a little bit, but there we go. And now I can move that over to the side. I will move over my project that I'm adhering my happy birthday to. So I'm going to place the happy up here on an angle, and I'll just add a little pressure there to get the sticker stuck back down. As you can see, I didn't add any pressure to the birthday, so it's still stuck onto my transfer sheet here. And then I'm going to take the birthday and add it down here. So I'll just do the same thing, rub it a little bit, add a little bit of pressure on there, and then peel back my transfer sheet. And then now I can stick this on the back of this and then reuse it again for next time. And there we go, there's that happy birthday. So while you guys are finishing up your cards over at home, I'm just going to show you that something I was playing around with this Edger card, and this just to give it another little more interest is by using a different die, octagon shape. This one here I used was from Creative Expressions, but we also have the Nellie's multi-frame that you can do this shape with, and that just goes along with the bee theme. Something cute that you might want to try. And I just wanted to show you a couple of extra examples of Edger cards that we have available. So we have this really cute hot air balloon and this really beautiful feather, as well as this beautiful rose. And Creative Expressions has come out with their own line of Christmas edgers as well. They're coming out with some new ones this year, so we're looking forward to that. There's also fairy edgers and frog edgers, so if you're interested in the edgers, you can come over to our website and check them out. There are so many to choose from. So that's the video for the Bee Edger card. Don't forget to stay tuned. At 1:45 we will have our hourly draw again and a demo, and then at 2 o'clock we will do our final card. So we'll see you then. Good luck.